In July 1863, a young 18-year-old from Dublin, Ohio, answered the call to serve his country. He traveled 14 miles to Camp Delaware, on the east side of the Olentangy River in Delaware, Ohio, where he enlisted with the 127th Volunteer Infantry Regiment, later renamed the 5th United States Colored Infantry Regiment, on July 10th. He remained in camp until they set out for Norfolk, Virginia, in November of that same year. The 5th United States Colored Infantry Regiment served in Virginia and North Carolina, during which they were led by Brigadier General Edward Wild, and participated in expeditions to South Mills and Camden Courthouse, North Carolina, from December 5th to December 24th, and in action at Sandy Swamp, North Carolina, on December 8th. The regiment then moved to Yorktown, Virginia, where they became part of the 18th Corps, participating in numerous expeditions throughout the area. The 18th Corps was involved in the capture of City Point, Virginia on May 4, 1864, and while in the city, the regiment built Fort Converse on the Appomattox River, defended an attack on the fort May 20th, and took part in operations on the south side of the James River against Petersburg and Richmond. They saw action at Baylor's Farm on June 15th before taking part in the Richmond-Petersburg campaign, which lasted from June 16th to December 6th, and action again in the Battle of the Crater July 30th, where Union forces exploded a mine that blew a huge hole in the Confederate lines. The colored troops trained for weeks to lead the attack after the blast, but were withdrawn at the last minute and replaced with white troops, which would prove to be devastating for the Union. The Confederate forces quickly recovered after the blast, sealing off the breach. Colored soldiers were the last line of defense, fighting valiantly as other troops, both black and white, battled in the bottom of the crater with no way out. Union forces were repelled with severe casualties, leaving Brigadier General Edward Fierro's division of black soldiers nearly decimated. Confederates gave the colored soldiers no quarter, killing as many as they could. Even those who surrendered were killed. Black troops seized more critical ground, advanced farther, took more Confederate prisoners, and suffered more losses than any other unit. Ulysses S. Grant called it the saddest affair I've witnessed in this war, and ended with what may have been the worst racial massacre on any Civil War battlefield. After the retreat, the remaining troops settled in for many more months of trench warfare. Throughout the remainder of the year, the 5th fought in battles such as Chaffin's Farm and Fort Harrison. In March 1865, the regiment took part in McClellan's Peninsular Campaign, eventually marching on Raleigh, North Carolina. They were witness to the surrender of Confederate General Joseph Johnston's army at Bennett Place, April 26, 1865, and served out the rest of their term in Goldsboro and Carolina City, North Carolina. The 5th U.S. Colored Infantry mustered out September 20th, 1865, losing a total of 249 men. James made it back to Ohio, where he married his wife Elizabeth in Delaware on February 11, 1880, at the county courthouse. By the 1890 Veterans Schedule of the Federal Census, James Joel, around 45 years of age, was listed as possibly having tuberculosis, and 2 years later Elizabeth filed for widow's pension on April 29, 1892. There is no record of his death other than being laid to rest in the Soldiers' Circle at Oak Grove Cemetery in Delaware, Ohio, where my journey to tell his story began with the discovery of McClellan's Peninsular Campaign medal with his name inscribed on the back. A tiny stone and the medal are all that remains to mark the life of this brave soldier.